Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to Adam's Quest. In the last episode, the surprise arrival of a smelling ape left our tribe in a state of chaos. Poor Truffle and Wolfsbane had always assumed that they were just leading one big-eyed ape away from their families, but it turned out that there was an even greater danger waiting in the darkness over here. Now their one and only baby has been left right in the clutches of the smelling ape. Though thank goodness, thanks to his big stinky tail, he should be safe from his advances. It's the rescue party that's a bit of a different story. Rarasi herself has heard the whispers from Solaris that one of their babies needs to be rescued, so that's why she's sent Snapdragon, who is feeling much more comfortable in the tide pools. Poor little Rarasi is going to try her best to keep up with him, but she only has one turn to make, and that's going to leave Snapdragon to sneak around the shores to see what he can find. We don't want him to get too close, but thankfully, thanks to his lean body, he's actually pretty good at hiding from most of the apes. The lean body makes him scentless, so if the smelling ape works anything like the big-eyed ape, then we should be able to get much closer with Snapdragon than we could with any of our other unprotected creatures. That being said, I don't want him to move right next to the baby just yet. We'll just have him nose around here for now, maybe pick up some of those extra little fruits, and we'll have to cross our fingers that this ape keeps going back toward his stinky fruit tree too. Hopefully he and the big-eyed ape are going to be willing to share, otherwise we might be in some serious trouble. So crack this open for us, maybe offer up some of those fruits as a snack for Rarasi. That way she can relax and get ready to move on the next turn. She's going to have a little baby to wrangle soon after all. She's only a little baby herself, just like all of her other siblings, but they're already going to be put to work. Rila's going to make sure that we're carving out our pathways for real this time, and maybe it's time that she scoots little Lana to a safer location too. The poor thing is likely to get her family under attack by the hearing ape next, if she keeps playing around in all that debris. So as Rila picks up the old nests, she'll have Lana maybe pick up the weeds around here, and then definitely scoot out of the way. She should be safe if she goes to this tile, and that'll light up more of these healing fruits too. So hopefully we'll be able to heal this little baby. I think it's probably going to be the sneezing that alerts Snapdragon to his location, but we'll have to wait until we pass the day first. Oh, and it looks like one of our little bunny friends is hopping over toward the stinky fruit tree. Very interesting. You know, it might actually be those berries. I have a feeling he's eyeing those up from the darkness. So maybe it's time that you scoop these up for us. Oh, that bunny is going to steal every last one, I can already tell. I wanted Rila to send little Rovanu off to Moonflower's side instead, so he's not really going to be able to help. I think she'd be a little bit more concerned with the fact that Moonflower has so much of that stinky juice on her. She knows that her daughter had a vision of the smelling ape after all, so this could be a very easy way to attract unwanted attention. But Moonflower doesn't really know better right now, so she's just going to keep picking up those fruits. Oh, Rila, the bunnies are taking your food, and she's too tired to do anything about it. I think she's just going to have to pick up the few berries that she can, because unfortunately most of our claws are on a different part of the island. Though that being said, your sister is actually making her way downstream, so maybe she'd be able to help. If she's not feeling too haughty anyways. I feel like she'd probably just rub that in on you. She knew that it was a better idea to focus on strength after all. Just look at her sons. Look how mighty they are. Compared to Rila's children, there's no doubt which ones hold more power. So this is probably all swimming around in the back of her mind, especially as Slip is quite likely to notice these creatures off by the tide pools. He's been making his way downstream too, trying to light up a path for his family, as his father gathers up every last one of those piranhas that swim his way. Honestly, this is the perfect fishing spot, and I'm not too sure if he'd want to leave it. maybe we'll just have him set up camp right here. It would be the best way for him to make sure his family is very well fed. And meanwhile, I think Harp is still finding it very hard not to sing from a distance. She knows Rihanna doesn't want her to distract her boys, but surely if she sings way over here, they won't even notice, right? She'll sing very quietly, chasing after the bunnies and picking the berries along the way. But of course, Dagger, with his big ears, would be much more perceptive to those sounds than Rihanna would. So as she continues carving out her pathways too, making sure that her boys have easy access to the shores, no more slip-ups after Haunt's mistake, Dagger will very quietly sneak off into the grasslands, maybe saying that he hears the pattering of little bunny feet in the distance. I mean, it's not a lie. He probably does hear those in the grasses too, so maybe he'll have something to offer up to his mother, so she won't know that he's just out here to say hello to his friend Harp again. Ooh, you're actually chasing this bunny straight into Leaf's claws? That's not too bad. Maybe we'll have him come up here too so we can grab this one for you. There you go. So unfortunately you lost out on a meal to bring to your mother, but I think you're still quite happy anyways. Now you get to spend some extra time listening to Harp's songs, and maybe you'll even learn a couple of them too. Unfortunately, Sunrose is just about to say goodbye to her father. He's on some of his very final days, so we'll have her do her best to lick off all of those stinky juices before she needs to find a place to bury him in the morning. I feel like the stinky fruits are going to be very near and dear to her heart. She was born right next to the stinky fruit tree, and it's what she knows the most, since Citrus was always willing to steal a couple for her to eat. The roots are actually a little bit more scarce on this side of the island, so we might need to find a different place to bury him instead. But there is a different situation that we haven't taken a look at yet, and that would be Honeydew's leech. So I'm almost positive that we didn't take it off of him. We've been very careful just to lick his wounds with illusion, but it would appear as if that leech has disappeared now that he's rolled around in the mud and he's very, very hot again. Maybe his wiggly, squirmy ways has caused the leech to fall off. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. Though I suppose it could also be taken as one of Illusion's breakthroughs. Maybe she was able to heal those old wounds to the point where Honeydew is feeling much, much better. So now he can go diving straight back into the ocean again, and I know he is going to be so happy. Oh, he already has a little crab friend out here to greet him. You are going to be feeling so much better when the day passes. Illusion is probably just quietly shaking her head from the shore as she picks up all of those delicious berries before the bunnies can get a whiff. She is hoping that he's going to pick up another leech for her so she can continue her experiments, but she's not going to let him in on that hope of hers. She doesn't want to scare him away after all. Part of her is probably worried that he is not going to return at all, because he hated staying in one place, and he really hated staying in that thick, hot jungle. It just wasn't very good on his water body. So she's probably concerned that she's going to have to find a different test subject soon. And who would possibly be willing to get themselves infected with a leech just for her studies? Leaf is long gone, the others are so busy. She's afraid she might be on her own now, but the most important thing to watch is definitely going to be right over here, where poor little Lionheart is still waiting in the grasses with the remains of his mother at his feet. So let's skip the day, cross our fingers that the ape is not going to turn in his direction. Oh, thank goodness. It seems like the ape is going farther and farther away. He must be going toward those stinky fruit trees. So I think we might actually be in the clear. Now that sneezing in the grass is sure to alert Snapdragon, so let's have him scoot on into the jungle tiles. Oh my gosh, there was actually a nest over here. Oh, we could have had Truffle use this nest instead. Well, I'm sure that Lionheart appreciated the nest that she made with her own two paws, right? At least it's something that he can remember her by. Now let's have Snapdragon start clawing away at some of these weeds. And now we should be able to bring a Lionheart out of the darkness. So I guess he's calling quietly to the baby in the jungles, trying to lure him out from hiding. But you know that Lionheart is going to be very, very reserved. It's not as though he knows these strange creatures. I feel like Truffle probably would have mentioned it just because it's part of their mission. They are trying to protect the royals after all. But he's just a little child, and the last time he saw anybody other than his mother, it was the ape who was trying to destroy their family. So he will slink out from the weeds, but not before grabbing up a couple of these little fruits. Almost as if he's clinging to those red leaves, trying to hide himself maybe, because he knows he's going to be out in the open on the shore. He is a very timid and shy creature for somebody with a name like Lionheart, so our creatures are going to have to be very careful not to scare him away. Oh, and there's that pesky bunny. This is your chance to redeem yourself, Lana. Now you can swipe that bunny up from behind, so hopefully it won't be stealing any more of your mother's berries. Though I did hear another bunny steal a few berries, way back here with Harp. Oh my gosh, you weren't kidding, Dagger. There are tons and tons of bunnies for you to catch out here. Well, at least your family will be feasting soon. But more importantly, so will Harp. And with the extra energy, she can teach you how to sing all of her best songs. But I suppose we will want to make sure that the baby isn't too close to any of our other tribe mates. It looks like he's safely far enough away from Snapdragon, so at least he won't be catching the cold. We can have him pick up the extra fruits instead, maybe as a way to try to make a connection. He sees all those big red leaves that Lionheart is clinging to, and he thinks that maybe it's just his favorite snack. Maybe if he offers a few up in exchange, he'll be more willing to trust them. We'll have Rossi do the same, grabbing up all the food that she can manage, as many as her paws can carry, and hopefully these two can find a way to coax this little baby straight toward the healing fruits. So you better make sure that all of these pathways are truly clear, Rila. We'll have her pick up all the grass around her, and pretty soon she'll have to come over here to clean up that last little nest as well. She is getting very close to the end of her lifespan, so this is going to be our last chance for Rihanna to meet her sister before she ends up passing. We have to figure out what she's going to do with the bluebird feathers too, and I think that's something that is very high on the mind of Rihanna as well, especially once she realizes the way that these bluebird feathers have been squandered, with all these derp snout babies with their deformed paws. She is not going to be one happy camper. Let's have Haunt scoot in here to pick up one of these healing fruits for himself. That way he can heal that extra damage that he took. And will he be safe if he scoots to this side? I guess he should be. It's not too close to any of those carnivorous plants, and it might even light up the way for Rihanna to get to her sister faster. I'm a little bit too worried to have her continue down the stream like her son, just because she doesn't have the water body. And as you can see, there are many, many, many of these waterfall tiles for her to get trapped in. So instead, it looks like Slip can pick up some fish. Oh, they're actually not moving at all? Okay, you might as well gather up as many as you can carry then too. That might actually be a good gift for these creatures. You can give them some fish to show that you're on their side, as Rihanna gets to work crossing the stream for the next turn. Leaf must be nearing the end of his lifespan too. So not only is Sunrose going to have to find a place to bury her own father, but she's also going to have to find a grave for her new little leafy friend. I feel like they've probably grown pretty close, just because he's spent so much time around their family, so he'll be able to watch after her until he passes. Let's bring him down here to the same location. That way if he picks up some of the stinky fruits, maybe to cheer her up. I'm sure she is very, very sad to see her father go. She can lick off those juices just like she used to do. We have to be getting pretty close to unlocking the purse now by now. So, Honeydew, go ahead and go diving straight back into the water for us. See what you can find down here. Oh, there's some shells. I bet he wishes he could bring those back to illusion. See, she's worried that he's going to disappear, but honestly, I think that they've both wormed their way into each other's hearts. I think she's going to be surprised. She's been so caught up in her experiments, in fact, that she hasn't even really thought about her own emotions. So I wonder if there's even more to those feelings than she's letting on. But let's have Moonflower pick up some of those stinky fruits too, after we have Rovanu lick off the remaining juices. Though I suppose it won't do much anyways. Moonflower is a little bit too ambitious. She's the type of creature who could really teach little Sunrose how to put her digging skills to good use. I feel like she is a bit more connected to the shaman side of our family, and I suppose that Sunrose would be as well. Though she's been told day in and day out that she's a beacon. She's going to lead our tribe over to those ports, and she's going to be the one to carve a pathway into our next island. So she's not really sure where her destiny lies either. Now, I think all we have left to do over here is maybe consider starting a family between Harp and Dagger. I mean, Harp is getting quite close to the end of her lifespan too, and she has been so smitten by Dagger in all of his attempts to learn her ways. He's the only one who seems truly interested in her songs after all, so maybe they can teach their children how to sing together too. So as far as their mutation menus go, we definitely want to try to breed out that deformed paw. And I suppose with the jungle in mind, the best one to put into her first slot would probably be the velvet paw. They both have a couple of issues with the webbed hind legs and their inactive traits, as well as the short-sighted eyes. So I think the one we're going to focus on for now is the eye situation, because we can't let their babies get lost in the dark. I don't really like the idea of their babies having webbed hind legs either, just because it's not really going to help them escape in the jungles. But considering that Dagger's family is so often found following the streams, I guess it would make sense if they do have little frog toes. I think what I'll do is I'll put the normal hind legs into his mutation menu. That way it'll be like we have one of each. One chance for good eyesight and one chance for normal hind legs. And then last but not least, I suppose what we could do is place the stinky tail into its second slot. That way it'll be a little bit more likely that we'll see it pulled out of his inactive traits as well. That is one thing that is going to save their babies no matter what sort of jungle we end up on. So go ahead and breed with Dagger, hopefully. Oh, that pesky fertility again. Well, in the next turn you should be able to build your first nest. Now I think we're ready to skip the day again. So let's just keep an eye on the darkness over here, just in case. I mean, I don't think the ape is going to notice them now, but it could always turn back looking for more stinky fruits. Now that we have two apes over here, I suppose they could end up fighting over their food sources. Though we do have two stinky fruit trees for them to work with, so hopefully they can figure out how to share. Poor little Lionheart must be so cold now. He must be shivering in the rain. Let's see if we can lead him over to those healing fruits. We'll have Rarasi very kindly coax him over. Oh, please tell me, yes, that's Honeydew. Okay, Honeydew, you better return to your friend's side. It looks like even the Crabbits are trying to lead you up in this direction. That's probably because they don't want to see you getting munched on by any of those piranhas. I guess we'll have to set you up right here, which will unfortunately scare the mole away, but the shore is a dangerous place. An illusion we know is not going to let you get anywhere near those waves if it means you might meet the fangs of the piranha fish. So she doesn't have any of his wounds to lick right now, but she can at least offer up the berries. And she must be feeling much lighter right now, knowing that this creature returned even after all that she put him through. Maybe there is a bit of a connection between them after all. Maybe that warmth in her heart is not just for her experiments, but for little Honeydew as well. Oh my goodness, Rilla. Oh my gosh, you have another bunny trying to steal your berries, you poor thing. It looks like he may have gotten a few, and unfortunately Takir, The only creature with the nimble fingers has been far too preoccupied with the acorns. But it has done pretty well for us. We're at 79 pieces of food now, so at least our supplies are returning. But you better come over here, Takir. You really need to help out your mother. Honestly, she's just getting too old to keep chasing around all these bunnies. It's probably very, very hard on her weary old bones. But pretty soon, her sister is going to be by her side again. And it's going to be quite the strange reunion. Let's have Haunt make his way down here to clear out some of that pathway for her, because it looks like she's still having trouble getting through. Those pesky weeds are what makes it really hard to worm your way through the jungle tiles. But I think she has finally settled down right by her sister's side. So now she'll get the chance to see firsthand just what Rila has been getting up to. But I'm sure our queen is just shocked to see Rihanna in general. It's been so long, she probably thought that Rihanna was long gone. Maybe she was even worried that her family was destroyed by some apes, far off on the other side of the island. So she must be overjoyed to see her now. And pretty soon she's going to get to meet all of her sons too. Assuming that Dagger isn't too distracted by his new love, or by the bunnies hopping around these parts. So go ahead and breed with Dagger again, and hopefully this time you can set up a nest. I think we'll want him to use his turns. There we go, thank goodness. Not enough energy to keep the bunnies away from your berries, I'm afraid. But at least you're going to have your next baby. And at least we can have Dagger start making his way back to his mother, so she doesn't start getting too suspicious. I suppose we could have Leaf join them for the bunny hunting, but to be honest, I think he's going to want to stay right here, so he can keep picking these stinky fruits with Sunrose. Just a few more of those licking actions ought to do the trick, and picking fruits together is a great way for him to spend his final days. But we were trying to coax our timid little Lionheart over to the other shores, weren't we? Just in time too, because we don't want to risk this carnivorous plant growing back to munch on our creatures. So we'll have Snapdragon stay in the back for now, just to make sure that Lionheart can cross these tide pools easily. He's so quiet and shy that they're probably a little afraid that he'll get swept away by the currents, but he was able to hop across with no problem whatsoever. You know, I actually wanted to change all of his gems over to the pink color. That way it'll be just like his mushroom family, and of course he's going to be much more connected to them than anybody else. So go ahead and gobble up your first healing fruit. Now you're feeling so much better. Now that's a good way for these creatures to gain your trust. Now I think it's finally time for you to return to Snapdragon, now that your rescue mission was a success. So all that's really left is for you guys to start clearing out these forts, because now that the bluebird feathers are just about to be passed on to the next great leader, they're going to want to explore a brand new island for sure. So Rihanna is still judging her sister's family, kind of quietly, keeping it all hidden away in her mind. But as we pass the day, and the two start sharing their stories overnight, this is what will cause a shift in Rihanna's behavior. Rila will have new stories after all. Stories about Solaris and the winged creatures, the ones who could go up against the bluebirds themselves. And I feel like Rihanna might think that Rila is abandoning Adam's old ways by sharing stories that were not from his time. So not only has she dishonored the bluebird feathers by breeding with a creature with very weak genes, but now in Rihanna's mind, she's forgetting all of his stories as well. So it must be time for a change. Rihanna knows without a doubt that her sons are so much stronger than Rila's. And with the stories of Adam behind them, she thinks that's all that they'll need to conquer the islands in their future. So perhaps she'll request, as something of a challenge, that Rila gives one of those bluebird feathers to one of her sons. She can save one for herself too. She can pass the second one over to any child of her choosing, but this will be a way to see which of the bloodlines survives the longest. This will be the way to see if it's Adam's old ways that will take us to the end, or if we'll need to develop a new method to keep us pushing forward. Rila's probably very confused and brokenhearted. She thought this would be a wonderful reunion between the old sisters, but instead it's turned into something of a challenge. So for now, we'll give Rihanna that single bluebird feather that she has requested, so that she can offer it up to Dagger as soon as he returns to his family. I'm sure she would want it to be him since he is the stronger of the two, and with his lack of a water body, he should be free to move around the island a little more easily. We already know how difficult it can be on the water-bodied creatures to stay in the jungle. But before we go any further with that, I do want to check and see what his little baby looks like. Oh, unfortunately it looks like she has the deformed paw, but she also has the stinky tail. So at least she's going to be able to protect herself from that awful smelling ape. She is very, very cute too, though she looks nothing like her golden mother. In fact, I feel like a name a little bit more suited to his side of the family would make more sense for her. So maybe we'll bring back a very old warrior name of ours, and we'll call this baby Needle. I believe Needle was actually a warrior from the tribe of the Tides. So in a way it all connects, because this family so loves the water too. But he can hear his mother calling with those big ears of his, so it's time for him to start making his way back to his family's side. And hopefully, once all of this is blown over, he'll be a little bit more willing to show his family his new little daughter. Right now, I think he is a bit too worried, and it's not as if she'd be able to keep up anyways. He really doesn't want his mother to see his own family as just some silly little distraction, like he's sure that she's going to. But now he's going to have a brand new mission to uphold, as she passes that bluebird feather straight over to him instead. And as for Rila's decision, I'm wondering if she might actually give the bluebird feather to Rovanu. He does have the stripes, so it would connect to Adam in that way, and she hasn't completely abandoned the stories, despite what Rihanna might say. But aside from that, he does look the most similar to his father, especially with that deformed paw of his. If he succeeds, it would be a great way to prove her sister wrong. He might be the youngest of the litter, but we believe in you, Rovanu. He has wild dreams in his mind after all. Stories straight from his father of creatures who could take to the skies. So someday soon, I hope that he'll be able to find the genetics that he needs to make that dream a reality. And then he might even claim the other half of the bluebird feathers once more. But in the next episode, now that our food supplies are mostly taken care of, we should be ready to set up our creatures on the ports to conquer the next island. We know for sure that we'll be taking little Lionheart, and I'm sure he'll be able to find plenty of these healing fruits along the way. If this island was any indication, I'm sure our next jungle will be just as plentiful. We'll have to make sure that Rarasi goes with him too, because I feel like she's going to become a little bit of an adopted mother to him in a way. After seeing those visions of him all alone in the darkness, she can't help but care for him deeply. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!